I don't know if you remember, but a couple of weeks back I actually spoke about how I was not fit and how it had been the worst start to the season. And I think I've kind of turned that around. I said that I was going to take a risk and maybe pump in a little bit of volume throughout the month of January, which is what I went and did. And I seem to have come off the back of it pretty well. So I thought I'd just take you through what I did, how I did it, and the results. Today we'll probably look at the final week, so what I did in that final week of training, which was about 30 to 32 hours, give or take, dependent on whether or not you count gym work, because I don't tend to count gym work in my total volume hours, just because I think of aerobic training as like the main format of volume for the totals week in, week out, and for the year. So I thought I'd do a whole week of training and show you what maybe a 30-hour week looked like. Last week was about 28 and a half, so yeah, I'm feeling pretty tired from that, but hopefully not too bad. Just at the pool now, going to do a quick 6k swim, similar to the last video, aerobic, and then yeah, similar Monday to again the last video. Just yeah, I'm going to try and show you the rest of the week as well. Okay, we're Tuesday afternoon, just 12:07, and I've already had a pretty tough tempo swim, and then went on straight into a run, and I'm 20 minutes into a roughly 2-hour bike ride, just on the turbo for efficiency. Today is pretty rammed. What I tend to do on a Tuesday is in the water for about 7:30 with pre-pool beforehand, and then run straight after, so about 9:30 after 90 minutes worth of work in the pool for about an hour again. So finish up and home just before 10:30 or around that time. I think I managed to get running a little bit earlier today, so I was home a little bit earlier. And then yeah, today I'm on the bike, started 11:45, so I would have usually had far more time in between, but just didn't have time today because I've got moderating exam marks for tutoring at the Welsh School of Architecture this afternoon. So this is a nice, easy, steady ride. I tend to just whack the turbo on 230 watts and just sit at about 110 BPM for 2 hours, and it's nice and easy. This morning in the pool we had many Ks worth of decent work. It was like a massive build. So if you've ever done the red mist session, like 10 fours, as I think it's about 4 fours, then 3, then 2, then 1. I think we tend to do it 5, 3, 2, descend essentially. Then it was a similar session to that, but we did it as 6 times 250. All up really tight rest, so maybe like 10-15 seconds. Then 6 times 200, and 6 times 150, and then 6 times 100 hard, essentially. So solid session, good run after. Squeeze the bike in between the running and moderating, and just shoving as much food down my throat as I can. in between all of them and during the bike. Tomorrow, long, easy aerobic day. Catch you then. So starting at the start of January, I kind of took it a little bit tentatively for me. I started off with about 24 hours of training, I think it was, and that's off the back of not doing a lot of training in December. So I think I did about 9 to 15 hours for a couple of weeks, and then went into about 24 hours for the first week of January, then 26, then 28 and a half, and then this week has been about 30, like I said, 30 to 32. And what that's done is it's accumulated a large volume and a big training stimulus throughout the month of January, which has allowed me to have a big training response. Now, I can't necessarily recommend everyone does this because it's all relative. I've done the past 4 years of training, as you've seen in the past, of high volume training. So what that's allowed me to do is it's allowed me to have quite a bit of robustness, and the body is used to that amount of training. So it's not like I've just gone and done it out of absolute nowhere. Running a bit late again, but again, easy swim, nice and aerobic. So it's really important to remember that it's not just completely out of the blue. I've done this before. I kind of know my body really well now, so I can adjust the intensities and the volumes on the fly. But yeah, it's been a really nice build up until this final week.
Don't be afraid, won't let you fall, girl.
Just getting home from my swim run. Hard session this morning, short stacked intervals, so it was like 12 times 75, 3 rounds of it, and off a 60 base, and it was going about 31.5 seconds per 50 with a 25 meter float. So it's basically over unders, which was good, and yeah, felt decent. It's a hard session, but you know, it is what it is. Then just an easy run after, and then went for a coffee with Fred, Ollie and Tom, just to round off the last week of what's been pretty tough training. But yeah, anyway, that's well, not rounding off a week, but getting to the end of the swim week. Got one more swim session tomorrow, and then a run session as well with some capacity testing. So yeah, pretty tough week all in all, but getting to the end of my 4th week of high volume or highish volume, and then I'll back it off when I go back to work. So the week is structured around 3 main sessions. You've got the Monday bike session, you've got the Thursday swim session, and the Friday run session. Everything other than that is pretty much just aerobic, and it's as much aerobic stuff that I can do without sacrificing the main sessions and life in and around those sessions. So I would never sacrifice being able to go to the shops or being able to go and do coffee and cake and nice brunches on the weekend and things like that. So that is my big telltale sign of fatigue, essentially. If I can't do those things I usually really enjoy, it's time to back off the training. Fortunately, I haven't experienced that throughout the month of January. However, the last week, as in this week, I did start to get a little bit tired and started to get a little bit short-tempered, and that was just a sign to be like, okay, let's not let this happen for too long, shut it down at the end of this week and get back on it for next week
in terms of reducing the volume, and like I've said, starting a different sort of tact in terms of focusing on the run. Doing full sets, yes or no? Building back in?
Got 40 minutes.
40 minutes is pretty much a full set.
Yeah. I don't know what the actual full session is.
Full set but hard.
Yeah, me and Ollie have got a special session to get
Because you're special people.
Special people!
Yes. So how did I increase the volume so much? And what does the volume comprise of? So in my biggest week, it was pretty much about 17 hours of cycling, I think it was, maybe 18. And a lot of that's in the 2 big long rides. So I did about a 4-hour ride and a 5-hour ride. The rest of the volume comes from about 6 to 7 hours of running, and the rest of it is swimming and a little bit of gym, if you consider that to be total volume. And it's not too difficult when I'm not working, but as soon as I bring work into the mix, I get really tired, and it's like a different stress. So you've got TSS or training stress score on Training Peaks. If you don't take into consideration the work life around training, then the total TSS, or what I've spoken about before as life stress score, is too much to handle. And that's the same for all age group athletes who have a full-time working job. You can't expect to do 30 hours of training a week because you've just not got the time or the mental capacity to be able to do that amount of training.
Nice and cool. Thank you very much. I'm fucking sorry.
Not happy. Not happy. Tom's ridden the opposite way around to us. He was 5 minutes early for once in his life, and
We were, what, 10 minutes late?
we were 5 minutes late, so he thought we'd left, and then rode on his own for the first 2 hours.
Trying to catch him.
Yeah, chasing tail.
Rode away from us, didn't he?
Yeah,
I know they both won't.
Bonksville.
That's fine, mate.
I haven't bonked, you've
In the
bonked.
words of Matt Shipley, I feel fantastic.
Just finished 5 hours on the bike in the rain and wind on the Saturday. Set off at about 8:15, 8:30. Just got back. It's 3 o'clock. We stopped off for a nice long cafe stop just to round off the week and spend 45 minutes with the boys and just having a chat and a coffee and things. I've literally only just got in, so excuse me if I'm not making complete sense. Probably a bit depleted. We had some lunch at the cafe and I ate throughout the ride and drank and things, but it's 5 hours at the end of the day. If you're not a little bit depleted, then maybe you're not working? I don't know. Anyway, it wasn't too bad of a ride in terms of effort and things. It was pretty easy for me just because we were rolling around in the group and taking turns, just 10 minutes each. And so because it was 3 of us to begin with, and then we found Tom halfway through, as you saw. But it was, to be a little bit more social, we just decided to take turns on the front and roll it around. But because of that, I spent a bit of time on the back, which I don't usually do. I usually spend all my time on the front, and yeah, it was just relatively easy in that respect because you get loads of rest and recovery on the back. I was like at 90 BPM most of the time I was on the back, but yeah. The other thing that I was panicking a little bit about today was that earlier in the week, Wednesday, my bike, my Specialized S-Works, completely packed in terms of the gears. SRAM Red is terrible. This is the first version of it. I got it when it first came out, I think it was. The rear mech, I don't know what it is, but it always goes wrong. Anyway, that aside, I was panicking a little bit because I didn't think I was going to have a bike to ride today because
the other ones are a bit decommissioned at the moment, one thing or another. The brakes aren't working, it doesn't have a crank on, there's no seat, the Di2 isn't working, or whatever it is. So I had to kind of piece together my old Silver Specialized, which potentially has a crack in the chainstay. I need to double check that. But I put that together in with regards to putting the cranks on and just rigging it up a little bit better with the Di2. So I managed to get out on that today, and really nice. Had mud guards on the front and back because they could actually fit, whereas on the S-Works it's so flippin' small that you can't get a front mud guard on. Anyway, really nice day out as it happens, even if it was windy and rainy. And yeah, just back in the flat now and gonna get some rest and recovery, have some more food to eat, and chill out for the rest of the day. This is coming to the end of my, I don't know how long this week will be in terms of hours, maybe 30, 31, 32 hours. I didn't ride yesterday on Friday, which I usually would, because I had to do some capacity screening in the gym. So that's just some testing and things to make sure that everything's in check. And then, this is going to mark, or tomorrow will mark the end of my 4-week training block and camp, I guess, because I'm not actually going on a proper camp. So I've just used my time off work to put in some hours. Right, so long run. I've just come down to Rumney Lake or Rumney Trail or somewhere around there, and we're gonna do a longish run. Like, it's the last run of the week, finishing off the week on like a just steady aerobic chatty run as we usually do post swim. But this is the only thing that I tend to do on a Sunday, and maybe a little ride. So yeah, just make the most of it and chill out.
I don't think there's more than we can do. How come you think that I still owe you?
So just started my run with Jenny and Luke, happened to just bump into them, which was nice. And now look.
They're true, always so true, always so blind.
We were born restless minds, incompatible, different sides. So we had to read between.
Stuffed full of Nutella.
What's it called?
Croissant bomb.
Croissant bomb.
Get go. Some things are just too hard to let go. But I don't think you're worth the trouble anymore. I don't have to wait for the
So I'm just coming to the end of what's been a pretty good month of training. This is the last thing for me to do. It's just been pretty much a 2-hour bike ride. So just finishing off, and then I'm going to put my feet up, have a roast dinner, and chill out for the evening. Back to work next week, and then reduction in some volume because of the work, and a new focus.
So I've seen some really good gains this month in terms of my swim, bike and run quality, and it's been really good to see week in, week out those improvements. And I've been a little bit shocked and taken aback by it. I'm not in a bad place in comparison to the people around me either, which is great, so I'm pretty competitive in that respect. So I'm now back into the swing of things and really looking forward to the next couple of months of training before my first races come the end of March or maybe the start of April, dependent on which ones I can get into. So yeah, I think I'm in a far better place than where I was in that video at the start of January, and it was risky, but at the same time it was a calculated risk, and I'm pretty sure, or pretty happy, that I went ahead and did it because I've had a really good training response from it. But yeah, again, do not go and do this without some good guidance and some good people around you to be able to kind of advise when to and when not to put in intensity or volume or this, that and the other, because you could become a cropper, and I would hate for someone to go and do that and get injured and then not be able to do their season because they've done a stress fracture or response or this, that and the other. So yeah, please do training with care and not without the context. So obviously I've given you a background to my week, but it's a lot of context that needs to go into that. So for example, all of my rides are under 110 BPM, say, because my aerobic riding is all has to be under 120 BPM because that is where I start producing too much lactate. So never do I stray from that. Likewise with swimming, it's like all aerobic swimming has to be under 135 BPM. So I've got all of these kind of guidances and guidelines that I'm pretty stringent with, which allows me to go and then do the volume that I've been able to do. So don't forget that. Likewise with running, 140 BPM, keep everything underneath that. It's all quite low beats per minute, but then I've been tested, it's been quantified, so I know that that's right for me. It's also been proven over the past few years as well. So if you want to be pretty accurate or play it on the safe side, always play it on the safe side. Go easier than you think you need to go if you want to up the volume. No little sprints or anything like that. It's not necessary. Stick to those 3 sessions a week. Anyway, that's all from me today. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and hopefully we can carry on growing. If you do want me to talk about anything in particular, I know some people have said about nutrition on a day-to-day basis. I'm always a bit tentative about doing that. But I will also try and go into a little bit more detail about the sessions and what the numbers mean and all other bits and pieces to help give you a bit more value for these videos. So yeah, hope that makes sense, and I'll see you next time.